Hello everyone, Vicki Ashard here with Nature's Best. Thank you for joining me today. Today I am painting a bunny in watercolor, and hopefully in the next few days my husband can make a puzzle out of this for my son's children. Here I am painting the bunny, or drawing the bunny rather, and I'm drawing it on top of my transfer paper so that it would go on my watercolor paper. And the first thing I do is use my Piebo drawing gum, which is masking fluid. And I never told you about my masking fluid before, so I'm showing you how I do that. And so I use an old paintbrush, some soap, and water. And what masking fluid is you put it on your paper and it saves your white spots. And in this case, my white spots and I'm going to make some spots gray. So I'm putting my water, or I'm putting my brush in my water, and I'm stirring the masking fluid. In a minute, there we go, stirring the masking fluid with my popsicle stick, getting the gunk out of there that accumulated from the last time I used it. And then I'm getting some soap on my brush, and that's just because I don't want the masking fluid to accumulate on my brush as I'm using it. And I'm putting it right there on the ear. There's a little white or gray spot there around the eye there. And there's quite a bit of gray and white spots all over this bunny. And what you do is you leave it dry for about 15 minutes. You really don't want to dry this with your heating tool, or I use my hair dryer when I dry my paint, but I don't dry my masking fluid. So what I did after that, I just took a break after I put it on. And this bunny was a photo that I took at my son's home. And there's going to be grass around the bunny, and I'm just putting the sticks in. And when I put the grass in, I didn't want to lose my sticks. And I'm going to be using 5 colors today. And I'll be talking about those colors as I go along. Now my number 30 round. Picked up a lot of water on that brush for my background. And I actually went around twice because I wanted it quite wet. Didn't want a lot of harsh edges with my paint, and I wanted it to keep wet for a while, so I added quite a bit of water. And you don't have to be afraid to add a background, because water, the paint only goes where the water is. Always remember that. And I didn't want to make it perfect. The grass was lighter in areas and darker in areas, so I wasn't too fussy about where I put the paint. And the darker color is a combination of Gamboge and Ultra Marine Blue. It makes a really pretty green, really kind of a olive green. And these are all M-gram paints, and they're my favorite paints because they have honey in them, and they don't dry out on your palette. And I dried that. Now I went over again with some green, and now I'm getting the rabbit, the bunny wet. So I'm going to be putting my gray areas in, and that is a mixture of ultramarine blue and burnt umber with a lot of water. If you don't have a lot of water, then it'll be black. Those two colors combined makes a really, really pretty black. And I'm adding more green. Went back to the grass again. And it looks like a hot mess. This is what you call a hot mess in watercolor. You could totally give up here if you think, oh my goodness, what's happening here? It just looks awful. But after you put some details in and you do a lot more glazing, it'll turn out. Just enjoy the process if you can. Now I'm putting some burnt sienna in here, and I really love that color. I love the way the rabbit had that brown in there, and I wanted to put that fairly early on so I wouldn't lose it. And when I paint an animal, what I do is I stroke my brush in the way that the hairs grow on the animal so that it looks natural. And what I like to do is I like to put a lot of detail in first, and then after that I add, I fill it out with color. Whereas the background, I like to put all the color in first and then the details. It's just whatever I'm working on at the time. See, I'm putting a lot of details, a lot of the hairs that I see in the photograph. And there were a lot of darks and lights in this. It was morning time. The sun was shining, and trying to capture exactly what that bunny looked like. And this is actually going to be a surprise for my grandchildren. They didn't know that I took the picture when I was staying with them. I was the only one up in the morning. I'm an early riser, and they were about actually to move. We were helping them move, and I thought, what a nice keepsake this would be, to have a friendly visitor in your yard, and it was I think their last week being at the home, and I knew that one day I wanted to paint this for my grandchildren, and hopefully my husband can make a puzzle out of this. We've never attempted to do anything like that, but we'll see. We'll try to figure it out. Excuse me. So I'm just adding, more, making the brown darker brown, making my darkers, and those feet on that rabbit were so huge. I just couldn't believe it. And then every once in a while you'll see me go, oh, there I am, excuse me, you'll see me going back and making the eye darker. Now here I am. I want to tell you about this. This is called a rubber cement eraser, and it's picking up all that masking fluid that I put on, and you'll see all my white spots come back. You can do it with your finger. I started to do it with my finger, but your finger will get very tired because it's kind of rough. It's rough, actually. It's really rough. And that eraser really works well. I get it at Jerry's Adorama online. And there I am filling now the color in with my bigger brush. And then you'll see me, like I say, once in a while go back to that eye. A bunny's eye is so dark. And, what I did is, you can't see me drawing it, but speeding the painting up a little bit. But I dried it several times, making it darker, and I think I even went in with ultramarine blue. I'm not ultramarine blue. Burnt umber, making that eye a little darker. I think that I made the ear a little too wide. So anyway, I left it because well, if it's not going to be wall art, it's going to be hopefully a puzzle. So it'll be okay. And I'm defining the feet. I knew I was going to put grass over the feet, and before that I wanted to make sure that got those feet looking the way they should before I put that grass over them, the grass blades over it. And after I stopped the video, afterwards I looked at my tail, and the bunny's tail, and I made it a little rounder after I stopped the video, so I don't think you'll see that. But the painting's not done until it's in the frame, right? Or in this case, maybe a puzzle. Okay, so what am I doing here? Let's see. Yep, I'm just defining, making that a little darker. And I'm looking at my bunny, thinking that the bone structure isn't really there. So you'll see me doing that. I'm trying to get those feet the way I really saw them. Putting some gray spots in. And now I am starting to define the bone structure. And I'm using a number 4 round, getting in those details. Yeah, there I am, darkening that eye. Once in a while, here and there, I do outline that bunny a little bit. Now I'm starting to paint the grass blades. I'm using a fan brush, and that really does a lot of the work that only one little brush, you know, you would be there forever. But that fan brush is really nice to use for grass blades and making bushes and stuff like that. And now I'm going to go in. I decided with a bigger brush because I wanted more color on the grass. And usually I wouldn't. Usually I would use my liner, but I have so much of this is grass, and I decided that I wanted more color. You see, I'm splotching the color on there more, and so that's why I decided to use a bigger brush. And that grass was quite tall, so you know, I made it like I saw it. And I didn't want the grass blades just to be, you know, just straight up and down. They were just, you know, cross each other and sideways, and that's how I wanted it. There I'm making that darker, which I later regretted, so that one leg there. So after I stopped the video, I took a little out. I took a little of that paint out of that leg. Just stands out a little too much for my liking, but if you're painting this, you do what you want. Now I'm using that eraser to erase that masking fluid, making my sticks. So I made my sticks burnt sienna, and I put a little ultramarine blue and burnt umber mix in there too, making those sticks. And just defining spots here and there. And now I'm putting the whiskers on. I put little dots there from where the whiskers start. And taking my tape off, making that beautiful border, and there you have it. So, hope you enjoyed watching this video. I had fun painting it. So next week I hope to paint a deer for my daughter's children that was in their backyard one day. And hopefully we will make that into a puzzle also. So if I make those puzzles, if we make them, you know, I will show you what they look like. So until next time, happy creating.